Yeah, so there's a variety of different tools we use. We use statistical models, which are based on historical data. We have about 40 good years of that. We also use climate models to look and see what they're forecasting for the hurricane season. So we're not, let's say, looking for a forecast for, say, like August 27th, but a 1 to 3 month average of things like water temperatures and wind patterns. And the models now do a reasonably good job. They're not perfect, but they give us some skillful information about what things might look like during the peak of the season.
Okay. All right, so I have to ask, how often are these forecasts accurate?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we always say, well, it depends on how you keep score, right? I mean, and so, if you look at the skill of the April model historically, the forecasts in general have had modest skill. The skill has improved in recent years, largely due to better historical data as well as better model forecasts. And so on average, though, the April skill is still, there's a fairly large uncertainty. So for hurricanes, it's about ±3. When we get to June to August, it's more like +or-2 or even a little less than that. So for example, here we're forecasting 11 hurricanes, so the error bar on average is between about 8 and 14.
Is there any way with this forecast to forecast landfalling hurricanes?
Yes.
Tropical systems.
Yeah, so we don't issue forecasts for landfall because you can't say when or where storms are going to strike months in advance. But what we can do is say, in general, more active seasons have more landfalling hurricanes. We also now do a specific forecast for wind energy in the western half of the Atlantic Basin, which is not saying, a storm making landfall somewhere, but if you have storm activity in the western half of the Atlantic, that's where pretty much everybody lives. So those are storms that are likely to be much more impactful, whether for the United States, Caribbean, Central America.
That was going to be my follow-up. So typically, once you get, let's say, into late August or September, you know how the patterns change. It can be more skewed to the East Coast. My question is, do you think there's ever going to be a time where you can say, for the months of May through July, or almost break this forecast up specific for different zones?
Yeah, so one of the things I think we're really trying to do is the steering is really hard because that can change from week to week, month to month. But what we can do is start to look a little more at where storms are likely to form. So for example, this year with the likely La Nina coming on, that is probably going to enhance storm formations in the Caribbean, which is obviously not where we want to see storms form because Caribbean, obviously there's a lot of people living there, and also too, obviously storms forming in the Caribbean can come up into the Gulf of Mexico and cause problems for the United States as well. So that's kind of what we're moving to, not necessarily forecasting specific, like a storm's going to make landfall in a specific spot, but trying to kind of highlight maybe portions of the basin that are going to be more active.
Okay, that's great. Okay, last question. Why Colorado State University? Why did they issue this outlook every year?
Yeah, so Dr. Bill Gray was the founder of the forecast. If he were still alive, he'd tell you it's because the storm surge can't get you at 5,000 feet. But no, really, the way it got started was our department was actually founded by a leading tropical meteorologist, a hurricane specialist in the early 1960s who came from the University of Chicago, still nowhere near hurricanes, but he founded the department, and Dr. Bill Gray was finishing off his PhD at the time, came out with him in the early 1960s. So our department does a ton of other stuff, but it's always had at least 1 or 2 professors doing hurricane research.
Okay, amazing. That's really good. That's
cool.
Perfect. And then just so I have it, can you do a little quick video? Oh, this is